How you doing, everybody? This is Lines In. I'm Justin Patrick, your host, and I'm joined with my buddy, Mr. David Best, the co-host. David, how's it going tonight, man?
Primary tackle page.
All righty. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in with us tonight. We are Lines In, powered by Battleborn Batteries and presented to you by Primary Tackle. We're glad to have you with us tonight. We got a great guest on with us tonight, Bassmaster Kayak Series Lake Fork winner, Mr. Garrett Morgan. He's going to be joining with us tonight to talk a little bit about his win, and we're just going to get to know him a little bit more. So we're excited about that. And David, we got our big giveaway tonight, man. It is the Battleborn Battery 75 amp hour that we're going to be giving away live. We're going to be choosing our winner using a random comment selector. Stay tuned, guys, for the end of the video. That's when we're going to select our winner. So we're excited about that. We ran that now for about 2 weeks. We had 36 entries. So all of the entries in that giveaway, you got really good odds at winning this. So I've been telling everybody, Dave, I know you've been telling people to jump in on that, but so we're excited to give that away. Let's show this thing off, man. This thing is absolutely awesome. This thing will run you. I have used it once, but practically other than that, it is brand new. It's going to come with a warranty from Battleborn, and that thing will last you all day on the water. It is a power horse. But David, you and I were just kind of getting back from Toledo, and Garrett, he was out there as well. We're going to talk to him about that. But
I don't want to talk about Toledo.
Well, we're gonna get into it a little bit because it was fun. It was a little bit more fun than Lake Fork, but still another one of those February. There was a lot of fish caught. So I'm not gonna say it was a grinder, but that wind picked up on Saturday, and it made for a very eventful situation. But we got some people in the comments. Big Starnes Outdoors, how you doing? Thanks for tuning in tonight, Mr. Casey Starnes. How you doing? Thanks for joining. Caleb Tosh, Charles Breckenridge, Cody Hughes. What's up, buddy? And guys, thanks for joining with us tonight. We're going to get rolling here in just a few minutes. We're always glad to have our viewers on listening with us. David, I want to, we always like to give you and Primary Tackle, and that's why Wilson, an opportunity to talk a little bit about, what you got going on in the store. We're creeping up on summertime, man. I know you got a lot of customers starting to come in and get some tackle and kayak stuff like that.
Oh yeah, it's getting. We're seeing an uptick every day. Stores getting fuller. All the new hook gear came in last week. We got a whole bunch more of the Hey Dude shoes that everybody likes that's come in. We got guys coming in buying rods and reels faster than I can get them back in here, which is a problem, but we're working on it. We got the Mid-South Boat Show this weekend. So we'll be at the Agri Center Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We'll have the Primary Tackle out back. We'll be sitting out there on the Tennessee trailer at the show for people to look at. It's still in my possession. Don't know how much longer it's going to be in my possession. I'm hoping this is going to go a different direction, and he's going to end up upgrading into that 360-12 out there. So I'm working on it.
We went from an Outback to a PA 14 180 to now a PA 12 360. So
that works better for me because then I don't have to rebuild a boat.
Yeah, you've kind of grown attached to that thing. You've had it for a couple of years now, man.
Well, I told my mom today I may have sold it. She goes, "But you love that boat," and I am very attached to that boat. I just now have it exactly the way I want it. I mean, I did the H crate this weekend with the rods going out the back. That works really, really well.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you put that on your boat. Cool.
Yeah, it works a lot better. So that it's not I don't have rods standing up behind me. They're not sitting right on my side. It was easier to take pictures of fish. I've got it where I want it.
Yeah.
So the dilemma was, do I just go ahead and do another Outback? But I don't have enough Outbacks to do another Outback. So the next version would be I'd either have to go to your PA 14 or a Passport.
Yeah. So we'll drop that on here real quick while we're at it. Anybody want a 2021 PA14. Mine, I used it for less than a year. It's up at the shop, ready to rock and roll, still under a 2-year warranty. So go up there and get you a good deal.
A great deal on that one for sure.
Yeah. Casey, hey, this is funny. You'll like this, David. Casey Starn says, "Come on down and fish Lake Chickamauga." You're signing up for that one, aren't you?
I am planning on signing up for that one. I plan on being at Eufaula, Broken Bow, Chick, Dardanelle, all for sure, and I may go do the Northern Swing too. So,
and there you go. Yeah, I may jump into one of those northern ones since I missed the Santee Cooper mad rush to register for that. So, well, anything else you want to add before we get Garrett in here? We're going to talk about Florida. We're going to talk about Toledo. Get to know.
Talk about the new Kayak Classic before at the start of the show or the end of the show.
Which Kayak Classic? Oh, yeah. Well, let's do that now. David, I'll let you talk about that.
All right, so we're gonna do the St. Jude Bass Classic is one of the oldest running bass boat charity tournament country. They've held that on Memorial Day weekend every year, just about for 40 some odd years now. 49 years. Next year's 50. So we are going to run in conjunction with that at the same time on Enid a Kayak Classic for St. Jude. It's going to be a $100 entry fee. We're giving away via Hobie and S.Y. Wilson a passport for first place. This is all guaranteed money. $500 for second place, $300 for third place, $200 for fourth, and $100 for fifth. That's going to be bare minimum, whether we have 10 kayaks or 50 kayaks. And then we're going to add a place every 10 places after that. So, and then we'll have some prizes and some other things that'll be given out further down that field. But that's the guaranteed cash and big prize stuff that we have going on.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's I'm looking forward to that a lot. We've been talking to the other director, Steve Cook, who has directed the bass boat side of it. We got a lot of stuff dialed in, some details. So he's excited about it. David and I are both really excited about it. I think we're hoping it's going to be a really good turnout for a really good cause. And if you guys have any questions, be sure to message me, myself, or David, and we'll get back to you, ASAP on any details you need to get signed up for that. So
we should have tournament entries and all that ready by the end of the week.
Yep. So good deal. Something to look forward to. All right, so let's get Garrett in here. We've kept him waiting too long. Garrett Morgan, what's up, buddy?
Hey, man, how's it going? Appreciate you guys having me on tonight.
Man, we
appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, same. We're glad to have you, man. You've been kind of grinding it out like us, hitting Lake Fork, and turning and burning, hitting Toledo. Have you caught up on your sleep yet?
I did actually last night. So I had to go to Bentonville for work, which is about 2.5 hours or so. So Sunday I didn't get in till 1:30. I guess it was 1:30 a.m. Monday morning, because I actually went to the award ceremony at Toledo because 2 of our guys with Old Town got in, the top 20. Wanted to be there to support them, take pictures and stuff for them. Because one of them, Dale, he was there at Fork and was there to support me. So I try to be there for our team. So that put me back in here a little bit late. Then I had to turn around, get up, take my daughter to school at 6 and drive up to Bentonville. I was trying my best not to fall asleep in meetings that afternoon. But I made it through, and then I crashed at that big king size bed at the Doubletree before 7 p.m. and I slept till 6 a.m. So I definitely caught up on some sleep last night. So finally caught up, feeling energized back home, and it's definitely been a whirlwind the last couple of weeks for me.
Definitely, I was David. He got himself a hotel room Sunday night.
I wasn't driving back.
I didn't have
It
a
just
choice,
wasn't
man.
gonna happen.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm new kid on the block at work. I just started literally
Yeah.
the week of the fork event. So you know, I don't have any. I can't take any time off for 6 months, so I had to be back.
I'm the boss. I get to make up my own decisions.
There you go.
My excuse is I'm just really low on PTO from fishing tournaments until June, so I had to be back. But yeah, I got in at 1:30, about 1:30, 2 o'clock. Man, I had the whole Dumb and Dumber thing going. I'm slapping the face, drinking coffee, pounding music. But it's awesome, guys. I want to do a little bit of an intro. So from what I know about you, Garrett, I've talked to you a little bit about at the TOC 2 years ago. But you're from Arkansas, and you've won Angler of the Year a couple of times, maybe a few times in your club too. How many?
So I've won it 4 times.
Okay.
You know, I won it with one of the clubs I used to fish with. And then when we created the newer club here in Central Arkansas, I've won it the last 3 years. Although it'll be somebody else's time to shine this year. I've kind of stepped away from the local scene, focused more on the national events. I'll probably fish one local event, and it's more of a memorial tournament for one of our buddies that passed last year. So other than that, I'll probably much stick to a lot of the events that David, was mentioning. So I'll be at Broken Bow. I'll be over at Grand. I'll be at Dardanelle. I'll hit Chick. So I did get signed up for Eufaula, although I'm kind of rethinking that after this last weekend and how much sleep and all that. I lost out on having to drive back. So
Yeah.
maybe I talk somebody into driving or something and going with me, and I'll stick with it. But
Yeah, no kidding.
You ain't driving
it's a
back
6-hour
from Eufaula.
drive for me.
Yeah.
You ain't driving back from Eufaula in one night. That's a long drive.
Yeah, well, man, this is a true story. I fished 3 tournaments in 2 days, and I fished Caddo, drove down Friday, fished Caddo, which is about a 3-hour drive. After I got done fishing, I drove back here to Conway area, went 20 minutes up the road, fished a local event. I needed those points in that tournament, try to keep my Angler of the Year going. That thing was a night tournament in the summer, ran till midnight or so. Got in my truck, drove back down the Caddo, and went down there and got second in the second day of the trail event down there with KBF.
Good Lord.
So then I drove back. So I've done some driving. I'll make it work if I need to.
Hey, that's the life of us kayak anglers right now. There are not very many people doing it for a living, so we gotta get back to work.
Right? Yeah. I mean, maybe one day I'll be in that place, but right now it's still need to work and do some things around here in the house.
I hear you. Well, man, I'm gonna read some stats. I'd like to get into the stats with our guests. This is coming straight off of Tourney X. So you fished I'm sure quite a few more than this, but 97 total tournaments on Tourney X. You've got 15 first place finishes, 9 second place finishes, and 10 third place finishes with 68 top 10s. That's pretty impressive, man. How long have you been fishing kayak tournaments? How many years is that for you now?
So I want to say this is the 5th year. Yeah, 5th year going into it. So started local with a event that was on my home lake, signed up for it, ended up winning that event and kind of got hooked on it after that, and ended up getting to go to what was the old TOC back then on Lake Fork that first year, and actually got 7th in that. So of course that just fueled the fire even more. Upgraded from an academy style kayak to, I think it ended up in a Vibe the next year, which is a bit of an upgrade. And went out and fished KBF. I finished 2nd rookie of the year that next year, 13th overall with KBF and AOY points, and I got several 2nd and 3rd place finishes on the KBF trail series there. And as Hobie got started, jumped into that, qualified the first 2 years for the TOC, and missed out last year. I kicked myself about that Dardanelle event. I was, managing 4 medical clinics at the time. And, of course, everybody knows COVID was just getting crazy
Oh yeah.
about the time. Yeah. And so, I just couldn't get myself up. I've been at work all day Friday and overslept on Saturday and was late getting out there and all that good stuff. And then day 2, me and Jeff Malott just went back in an area I know to kind of mess around, and we ended up running into Brian Howell, and he's in contention. So then we just left it for him. But hopefully I can get back on track this year and, get qualified again because I love Caddo. I tend to fish well. I actually grew up in Texarkana. So I fish well down in that area. Fork I do well on, Caddo I do well on. I've done well on Toledo, although it didn't work out this time. But
let's not talk about Toledo.
I don't think I was the only one in that boat.
I fished with your buddy
I'd love to get
Dale.
qualified just because the championship's down there. So I'm gonna try my best to do that for sure.
Yeah, I fished with your buddy Dale for 2 days at Toledo. We both were, right there in the top 10 the first day. And he come in there with me on Sunday again, and he caught them, and I just could not put 5 in the boat to save my ever-loving life. I got my 3, and that's the best I could do. Yeah,
he said it was, it was just a nice little spot there.
It was gorgeous.
He kicked himself a little bit, I think, for leaving when he did that first day. I think he had shared that he wished he would have stayed and just cold one more time. But it worked out for me. I mean, cashing a check.
Yeah. And we both left early the first day, and I think that was the right call because that area was not big enough to really sustain both of us in there for fishing them hard for 2 days. I mean, there was a lot of fish in there, but I don't think they would have sustained more than the 2 days. If we both had stayed in there and kicked on them really good Saturday, I don't think either one of us would have done as well as we did Sunday. Especially considering with the mud that moved in there on Sunday and everything else. So,
yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah,
but it was good. I enjoyed fishing with him.
Yeah, he's a good dude, man. I tell you, my day 1, I made as many good decisions as I made at Fork. I made up for him in bad decisions on day 1 at Toledo. So I really felt pretty lucky to get back across the lake. I went to the windy side. I was out on the main lake and regretted that very quickly. It got pretty sporty out there within the first 20 minutes of the actual event.
Yeah, that wasn't 14-mile-an-hour winds. That was more like 35 to 40-mile-an-hour gusts. Dude.
But what really kind of stunk about the early start was, I think if we'd started at normal time, we'd have had a good hour or so of calm-ish fishing that morning. So, that kind of stinks, but it is what it is. Everybody had to deal with the same time frames.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. I mean, a lot of us in the house that we were staying in, we were we were going up to the meeting, and we were expecting him to change the time. I mean, it was just kind of odd that he had such a late start. I mean, considering that I don't think that Hobie has started that late in the day, even that early in the year before.
I really feel like the fact that the Bass Champs event allowed those guys to trailer to any ramp, I really do think that played a part. I mean, because there's a lot of boats, taking off from those ramps. I think it was made more to be about weather, but I really feel like the fact that there was that many boats out there played a role as well. I mean, those Bass Champs events, they draw a ton of boaters.
Oh yeah, hundreds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard about it a lot on Lake Fork. How there'd be like 500 boats out there fishing that deal.
Yeah, well, I've already been getting messages from those guys that are going to that one. That's been interesting. I guess it's at the end of the month in February here. So like the last weekend is going to be Bass Champs on Forks.
So we're gonna get dialed in on what you did to Lake Fork. But did you kind of go into Toledo, with the same type of game plan, doing the same type of thing?
No, I went into Toledo going to a specific location. and it's a boat dock that is just it's probably as big as my house. I mean, you could live in this thing, but it's on a creek channel swing. It has 25 foot of water out in front of it, but all the way to the back of it, it's like 2 feet out from the bank. It's only 3 foot. So there's a nice steady incline, straight from the boat slip all the way up to the back. And I sat there, and I think it was 2018 or 2019 with a shaky head and just drug it up that boat slip. And I probably caught 5 or 6 limits of fish right there. Wow. Ended up cashing a check, got 8th place in that last KBF trail event there. So I pedal an hour from the ramp to get to the spot, only to find out that they have put up like cattle fencing all the way around the bottom of the dock. And then they put a tarp in the boat slip, like covering the face of it in the front and the back. So there was no way to get a lure in there at all. And so, I obviously spent a lot of energy and time to get over there. And I tried to, once the wind kicked up, it was just like, hey, like save your life and get back across the wind.
Yeah. Man.
But I got back across, and I wandered into an area where Jason Cassidy was, and I saw him catching some fish. And, so I kind of got out of his way. He had been down there pre-fishing a bit. He had a good limit on day 1. I was really hoping to see him, kind of pop up day 2, because I think he had that area to himself on day 2, and it was kind of a hidden area, kind of a little bit wind protected, but he was live scoping them and just throwing a lipless out in front of him, kind of ripping it up and down.
Yeah.
But
it's
all I could do to catch one on day 1. I was proud of that one fish though.
Yeah. Is that so? What's your take on live scope? Do you have it on your boat yet? Are you looking to get it, or?
I don't have it right now. It may be something I'll look into in the future. I'm not sure everybody that even has it set up correctly, or even has really the proper equipment to be running it appropriately out of a kayak. I think I'm kind of waiting on that side of things to catch up for me personally before I go diving into that type of expense.
Yeah.
Although, I think some people have figured it out. Obviously, I think Rolando was using it some at Fork. I think he used it some pre-fishing, from what I understand, at Toledo. Sounds like he used more side scan stuff during the actual event. But, I think it has its place, and there's going to be tournaments where, someone that has it and has it set up appropriately is going to kick folks' tails. And then there's going to be events where I think it's detrimental to somebody, where they just chase fish all day, and it's fish that's been someone's chased with a live scope, and they've kind of adapted. So I think it's gonna have its strengths at moments, but right now for me, I'm gonna keep fishing on instincts, and hopefully I can do better than what I did at Toledo. Maybe I can replicate Fork a bit more in the future.
Yeah. I agree with you, man. Me and David, we talk about this. We've talked about it a few times, and it seems it's one of those tools. I mean, it's not a whole lot different. I mean, it's definitely different technology, but it's just one of those tools that if you understand everything else about what you need to be doing, what you need to be looking for, then it's one of those tools that can help you even more. But I feel like a lot of people are just diving into it thinking, I can just go out and get this live scope and go out and catch fish, and it's going to be easy. And that's just, I don't see it really panning out that way for a lot of people. But, guys like Rolando, I've heard that he's a really tough guy to beat because he understands how to use that, when and where and all that kind of stuff. But outside of that, I understand he's still a pretty good angler. So, it's not a catch-all, for sure. But I'm with you on the putting on the kayak piece. I mean, I've got you add a motor to your kayak. You're adding some weight right there, man. So then you add live scope and then another battery to run that thing. Man, you get your boat loaded down really quick. And these little, even the bigger kayaks like the pro anglers and the big natives and all that, man. it's just only so much stuff that those little boats can handle. But we'll see how it progresses. I'm with you. I just kind of want to weigh back a little bit before I dip into that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I'm really hoping to see some advancements in the future with all the kayak companies, whether it be Old Town or Hobie or Native or Bonafide or whoever. Just, I'm sure they're going to adjust to folks wanting this and, add some features to the Axe that, may make it a little bit more fluid to add these pieces.
Absolutely. Well, man, let's get into Lake Fork, dude. I mean, super impressive. We're going to talk about your limits. You had 102.5 inches on day one, and then day two you had 99.25. And you're talking about Brian Howell. The guy had 106 inches on day two. Oh, man, and it's funny. I mean, he was in the same area that I was in on day one, and he flipped it around, went from 2 fish to catching that slab of a limit. But man, you pulled it out with a total of 201.75 inches, man. I mean, still, even with that big day two from Brian Howell, he wasn't even the next one in contention. I mean, the next limit down was 197 inches, man. So, I know a lot of us, for me, it was the first time going to Fork. Those were the fish that, we were all hoping to go down there and catch, man. But you pulled it out, dude. Really impressive win. And you mentioned, listen to a little bit of your video that you did with Bassmaster, which, I mean, I got to applaud them. They did a much better job this year, with the first winner of the first event. I mean, you were blasted all over their website. So that was awesome. And I hear that you're not one to like to be in the public eye too much, but
Can't hear you.
Oh yeah, we're having some little trouble hearing you, buddy.
What about now?
Oh yeah, that's better.
There you go.
Okay, I think I may have had my pinky over the receiver there, but anyways, I don't mind doing some pieces here and there. I think probably the biggest adjustment for me as far as all that was like the on the water attention. Because I was spot fishing. Like I was going to trees that I knew had fish on them based on practice. And, suddenly when the camera boat rolls into your area, it's not hard for other anglers to figure out, okay, something's going on here. Somebody's catching fish or something. So that was probably the biggest adjustment for me. And then you're right, man, they blasted it all over everywhere. And so last week, man, I really didn't have a free night, which is a good problem to have, right? It's great for my sponsors and those folks that support me for, me to kind of, talk about products and get my name out there and all those pieces. But I would tell you, it did have an impact on me going in Toledo. Like I literally just threw what was here in the office. I just threw it in the truck from what was left over at Fork. I didn't really look at all the weather situations and, map out a great place to go. I just went and fished the memory. I was like, I'm going to go over there where I caught those fish 5 years ago. Let's hope they're still alive. It really bit me on the butt. So anybody out there, if you end up winning one of these events, if you have an event the next week, you might want to push some of the requests out a week. So I probably would have been better off really to tell some folks, hey, not this week, the next week. I have another event this week, and probably would have been good. But it's a good problem to have, though, right? So we go from
definitely
feeling like BASS maybe kind of treat us a little bit like the stepchild to suddenly like, man, my face every time I got on social media was popping up on something, which was cool. So it was definitely a whirlwind of an experience for sure.
Yeah. I think, they were, because I've listened to them on other podcasts, the directors, and, the big piece for them, was they wanted to see the numbers. They are the new guys into the sport. They're definitely not, well, they're the new guys into the kayak sport. They're definitely not new into the sport of fishing, but, I mean, they're running a business. They want to see those numbers. I think when they saw the 150 sign up, they're like, okay, here we go. And, I'd like to, get your take on this. They had to have looked at Hobie maxing out, filling out their registrants, in the first couple of hours, and wondering like, hey, this is a serious deal. How do we get to that? How do we get our piece of the pie? But I was glad, kind of like you said, we went from the redhead stepchild to, hey, this is a serious sport now. Let's give it its due diligence.
Yeah, they are in what, year 2? Isn't this their second
I think
year?
it's 2 or 3. I want to say 3, third year maybe.
Okay. So I mean, Hobie definitely had an advantage by having AJ, right? So AJ was an angler. So he understands the angler perspective. He understands what we go through with travel, with sign up, with all of those little detailed pieces, which I think has really benefited that trail. And I think there's been a little bit more of a learning curve with BASS, and I think they're starting to figure it out. They can still get me my trophy anytime. That'd be great. Still waiting on that. But
you at least got your money yet?
Now they cut that check on the spot.
That's right. Yeah.
No hesitation on that piece. But I think you're right, man. I think they definitely noticed that, Hobie's selling out an event, and it's less than probably 3 hours from Fork to Toledo, and it's the very next week. And I think they know that the kayak, thing it's not going away. It's only growing. I will say this, and I don't mean this ugly in any way, but I think that, Christine going and winning Hobie last year gave some people some false sense that they're going to get in a kayak, they're going to come one of these events, and they're going to come, cash a check easily, and they have no clue that she will fish them under the table 10 days out of 10 days in the week, right? So she's one of the top anglers in any, whether it be, I think she'd get a bass boat right now and go compete with those guys on the highest level.
Yeah.
But I had said, I think there's going to end up being more people that jump in and go and have no clue that, these anglers over here with Hobie and BASS and KBF, they're actually some really good sticks. I talked to several people at Fork that it was their first event that they had ever fished. And I think, people are going to sign up. They're going to come find out there's a little bit more to it than just grabbing a kayak and going to fish.
Yeah. Hey, it's good for kayak sales, but I'm with you. I think you got your locals that think the same. Like hey, I can just jump in this kayak, go get me a Pelican 120, and come out here and whoop these boys on my home lake. But even the other piece to it, is you got like you said, Christine, you got guys like Jackson Order that's in that high school moving into that college series. And you got a lot of kids like him that are looking at this saying, hey, I can fish the college stuff, but I can also get me a kayak and go fish, the kayak tournaments, make some money, because, if they win at that college level, I don't think they get to keep any kind of money that they make. So, they can jump in over there, but man, you're right, dude. I mean, there's been a lot of people that have been doing this for a lot of time, for a long time.
Yeah.
That have only gotten better and better every single year, and it's not going to be one of those things that people can just jump in it and get an easy check. So
no, definitely not. I mean, look, I attest to that. These guys hear me talk about it all the time. I'm a 33-year bass boat guy now. I've been fishing tournaments since I was 16 out of a bass boat. This last 2 years out of a kayak's been the hardest 2 years of my freaking life. Trying to figure out how to do it and how to make it work and how to do all the things. It's so different, but I love it. I mean, I don't miss my 21-foot Ranger one bit.
Don't miss them gas prices right now either, do you?
Something that I heard Ryan say recently, Lambert, about his sponsors and supporters. He mentioned something about grabbing a bass boat, and they're like, "Oh, no, we want you for the kayak side."
Yeah.
I've kind of thought about jumping into the big boat world as well, and I kind of got told the same thing. Like, dude, stay where you're at. Like, this is just kind of taking off. You're just gonna go get in line behind a bunch of other people if you know, want to try to jump into the bass boat world. So, I think it's the place to be if you're here, and if you're not, get started, get going for sure. It's starting to take off, and I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon.
I agree.
Absolutely. Let's we're gonna take a few comments from the comment selection. Casey Starnes, he said congratulations on the win.
Well, thanks.
And he wants to know, do you throw a Cinco often?
There's times that I throw it. I actually prefer to wacky rig a Cinco when I do throw it, more than any other way to fish it. But a couple years ago when I did well on fork for the national championship, that's primarily what I threw.
Definitely. Mark Bullock, hey, what's going on, buddy? Casey, again, he definitely comes from the trout fishing, jumped into kayak bass fishing head first, and he's enjoying it. So, Garrett, we're gonna take a short little commercial break for one of our sponsors, and then we're gonna come back and get dialed in a little bit more with kind of your pattern on how you caught your fish at Fort.
All right.
Battleborn Batteries. Let the power of lithium take you on your journeys across the outdoor world. Battleborn Batteries designs and assembles the industry's top choice for lithium-ion batteries right here in the USA. Reliable, safe, and long-lasting, Battleborn makes for the sustainable and lightweight drop-in replacement for traditional lead-acid batteries. Ready to make the switch to lithium and the switch to green energy? All batteries are in stock now. Shop today at battlebornbatteries.com.
All right, guys, we're back. We got Mr. Garrett Morgan with us, Bassmaster Kayak Series champion on Lake Fork. Had an impressive win. We've been enjoying talking with him, getting to know him a little bit. We're talking about the Lake Fork tournament, guys, and we want to know a little bit more about how you caught your fish on Lake Fork, man. And just for the people that weren't there, that was it was a really mentally tough tournament to power through, dude. I read that you dealt with some serious ice issues. Me, David, and the other guys in the house, man, we were shoveling snow and ice and melt. Dude, we got creative to get that ice off the boats on that Friday.
I heard a really good tip after the fact, which was just if your cables are frozen up like that, just put it under the muffler. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, I ended up breaking some rudder cables on day 2. I got a little impatient and just got too rough with things, but luckily had a buddy bail me out with extra kayak, so that worked out.
There you go. Yeah, we we hooked up a dryer. We hooked up a hose to the dryer vent on the outside of the house, wrapping the boats in tarp and trying to get those things thawed out overnight.
It worked, but it took forever.
It did. The next Friday was what we filled up the bathtub full of hot water and was just making trips left and right out there with hot water, just dumping them on the boats. But anybody that has not fished in a kayak tournament, you already deal with a ton of variables, from just the safety to organizing yourself in these smaller boats, managing yourself, having your ramp destinations already planned out and backups planned out. But to have to deal with that, man, and then to stay mentally focused on that and catch the fish that you did, dude, that's awesome. So tell us a little bit about kind of what your thoughts were going into that tournament, and then kind of how it panned out for you.
Yeah, so a lot of things just played out just absolutely perfect. One of which being when I went down there to pre-fish. So I had planned on pre-fishing that Saturday and Sunday before until we were talking in the group chat with Old Town folks, and they're like, hey, there's a cutoff this year. You cannot pre-fish Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And, here it was the Tuesday. We were talking about this, the week before. And I was like, well, I guess I'll just have to head down tomorrow and, fish Wednesday, Thursday. And so that's what I did. And we got slammed with a cold front. That's why I didn't want to be down there during that time frame. Little did I know that the following week, when we were out there fishing, we were going to get slammed with a cold front. And so when I went down there to the pre-fish, I want to say the wind chill was like 26 that morning. I went out and I had on like 6 layers of clothes and my duck hunting waders. And I went to some new water. I've been to Fork a ton of times. Grew up in that East Texas area. Used to go there for spring break a lot. I wanted to fish water that I had never fished before for this event. And so after last year's event, I stayed an extra day and just kind of explored some stuff, fished a little bit here and there, but I went down to check more of it out. And it's some main lake stuff. I figured that water temperature would be more steady this time of year. And, I just happened to roll up into the back of a cove and found a tree that, just looked a little bit different. It was right next to another tree about 4 foot apart. And someone had put a brush pile around these two and caught like 6 fish off the spot. Just boom, boom, boom. And I was throwing at some of the isolated stuff around there. Never could get bit. I go about 100 yards. I see 2 trees by each other, about 4 foot apart, about the same, diameter. And I throw between 2 trees and drag a jig through there. Boom, caught a fish. So I mark it on my graph and I go looking for nothing but, trees that are about 4 foot apart, at least 12, inches in diameter or so. And I drag a jig around them. If I got bit, I mark it on my graph, and then I just go look for more. It was so good that first day of practice that, I talked my wife into let me stay an extra day. Her, picking kids up from school and all that. And I went out to the main lake and just looked for more of those kinds of pieces. And, I had a lot of fun. I caught a 7-pound, 7-ounce fish while I was down there. I caught one that was 6 pounds, 6 ounces in practice. And several, between 18 and 20 inches, just out there fishing. So when I came back from, pre-fishing, I'm talking to guys at the shop, and I felt like I had to fish to win. I told the shop owner here, I'm like, man, if everything aligns right, I think I have the fish to win this event, if everything goes well. And then as the week started going on and we get in it, and I start seeing people just absolutely throwing fits on KBN about the weather and how they need to cancel the tournament and how, this isn't safe. And I was like, okay, so now I'm going down there to fish against maybe 15 people. Everybody else, they're done. Like they're already done. They've already made their mind up that they're not going to catch fish, that the weather's not good for it, and that they shouldn't even be having a tournament. So that just kind of pumped me up and got me going even more. Like, okay, all I got to go down there and do is what I did pre-fishing. If I can withstand the elements and just kind of repeat what I did down there, it was going to work out. And most of those trees I caught fish on were 7 foot of water. Water temperature down there was between 47 and 49 when I was pre-fishing. So we had a warm front like that Saturday, Sunday before. And then, of course, the ice came in and, so the water temperature probably went up a bit, went back down. Lo and behold, when I show up Saturday morning to fish, it was 47 degrees. And so, it's just the stars aligned. And I went out to the main lake that first day, which I had not planned on that. I had planned on starting on a main lake point, fishing for probably 20 minutes where I caught that 7-pounder because I'd only got one bite there. And the other times I've actually been to that spot, it's usually good in the morning. It's good for one bite, but it's going to be a fish over 6 pounds. But then I was going to load up and go to this backwater area where I had that little magic tree that I caught 6 fish off of and some others. But it was closer to shallow water. So I ditched that whole plan. Then they changed it to start time of the tournament. So I was like, I'm just going to go to this other section of main lake stuff where I had some trees marked and I had caught some good fish in practice. And so I started there, just kind of adjusted to the time frames, the weather. And by the time I worked my way back towards that little cove that had that little magic tree in it, I nosed in there. There's like 6 people in there. And I had 4 fish and 4 good fish, which I didn't expect to have by then. And so I only needed 1 fish out of there. It kind of went to the tree in there that I felt, the least amount of people could really see me, because I didn't want to really show my hand that first day of what all was in there. I kind of cruised in behind some folks, kind of wait till they're facing another direction, pitch in, catch a fish, take a picture, throw it back, and I got out of there. And on the way back to the truck, I stopped. I go back through that main lake stuff, end up catching a 21-incher, to cull up. So I was like, well, that's just a bonus fish. And so I ended up getting to the truck about 2:30 or so. And I was like, man, if I load up fast enough, I got enough time to go across the bridge here and hit that point that I had planned on hitting in the morning if we'd have started on time. So I load up haul tail over there, and I probably get over to that spot about 3 o'clock, 3:05, and throw a Hail Mary up there. I threw an A-rig first. I caught a little 15-inch fish, which I'd never caught a small fish on that spot in my life. So that was a shocker, because as soon as I felt something on line, I was like, oh, that's it right there. But I ended up, throwing a jig up there. I know there's a couple old stumps, bring it off one, and it just got smoked. And it was that 22-inch fish that I caught late on day one. So, they say you got to have a lot of luck, and the stars have to align to win one of these events. I mean, it was like I couldn't make a bad decision. Whatever I was doing was working. Now, I felt the very opposite this week at Toledo. I was riding the moment then. And so, I ended up finishing day one with what I felt were 2 bonus fish, really, that got me to that 102. I mean, that 21 and that 22-inch fish, really helped a lot. But I still would have had a good limit even if I wouldn't have had those. But yeah, I was shocked. Now, I thought I could go down there. Now, I had over 100 inches both days practicing, but I also fished a lot longer and also fished later into the afternoon.
Yeah.
I got to fish till dark on those days. So I felt like I could go out there and do 95, 96 inches. Matter of fact, that evening, that Saturday evening, people were messaging me like, what do you got anything left? And I was like, listen, I got a cove that I've not even touched that I think probably has 95, 96 inches on it. So kind of felt like going into day 2, if I could hit 96 inches, I definitely have a chance. I felt like if I hit 98, it was going to be over. Didn't feel like anybody could really catch me, because I looked at, the fellow that was in second, and I saw he had a 24.5-inch fish or something. I was like, okay, so the chances of that happening again are pretty slim. Not that it can't on fork, but just kind of run the numbers and thinking about, man, that's probably a once every 5-year kind of fish. So you kind of take that fish out, put the average in, which is an 18-incher, and I still got a really good lead. So I think the lead was a lot further than what it really looked like after day one when I kind of analyzed things, if you kind of take out that 24.5-incher. But so I felt like I needed at least 96 going into day 2.
Yeah. Are you the type that you check the leaderboard pretty often, run the numbers and all that kind of stuff? David over there, he runs the numbers a lot. I'm just the kind. I'm like, we're just going to go out here and fish the way I know how, and let the cards fall where they may.
So during the event, I won't check it until I have 5 fish. Once I have 5 fish, I'll look at it. But I knew something was going on because I started getting texts from people back home. So like even when I had only posted 4 fish, I started noticing I was getting texts, and I was like, oh, I must be doing something here. So when I got that 5th fish and looked, and I was in first, I was like, okay, here we go. But yeah, after day 1, now I will run the numbers at that point. And then that may help me adjust on what I think I need to do. Basically, I felt like I didn't need to change anything. I needed to try to go get all of the fish that I could off that main lake stretch first, because I figured, those guys that were in there the day before would probably beat me to that spot anyways. And I was hoping that maybe there wouldn't be as many folks in there. Maybe they didn't do as well. That turned out to be true. So I only ended up with 3 people back in there on day 2. But I worked through my main lake stuff a lot faster. The first spot that I hit, though, I caught 3 fish on the day before. Day 2, I did catch 1 fish there, but it was a 21-incher to get things started. And, I talked to some other folks about that moment where you kind of know it's like, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
You're going to win. That first fish, I get it up to the kayak and I go to net it, and I have it laid across the net like a loaf of bread. I didn't get the head or the tail really in the net, and it's just laying on there. And I go to pick it up, and it does the flop on me. The jig comes out of its mouth, and the fish falls. And as it's falling, I just dipped in the water as fast as I could and scooped up, and I scooped that fish into the net and got it in the kayak. But when that happened, after having broken my rudder cable and had someone bail me out with an extra kayak, I was like, it's going to happen. I'm going to win this event.
Yeah.
And, it took me longer to get my limit on day 2. I ran through that main lake stuff pretty quick. But when I got back into that cove, I think I had 2 fish. And then I went to a concrete ramp in there that I had saved as well. Those concrete ramps, those residential ramps, they'll hold heat a lot. Of course, it's got some hard bottom. But I had 2 of them back in there that were on channel swings. And I caught one of them. I had caught 2 fish off in practice. I kind of kicked myself for even throwing back up there after I caught the first one in practice. But rolled over there, I caught 2 fish. And then rolled over to the next concrete ramp. Nothing. Rolled over to my little magic tree. I ended up getting broke off on there on a good one. And I fished good line, man. I fished 17-pound Seagar, a Brazex, good stuff, abrasion resistant.
Yeah, that's good.
So then I roll up to the tree that I caught that fish on the day before, or the 2 trees, and kind of rolled out. And I ended up catching my last fish there, my 5th fish. And so at that point, I was in a good spot. I think I was over 96 at that point when I first posted that limit or so. So I felt like, okay, I think I got this. But I'd feel comfortable if I cold one more. And so I rolled back through those boat ramp sections. And the first one I went back to where I caught the fish, couldn't get bit. Go to the second one where I didn't get bit the first time I rolled through there. And I ended up catching, I think it was 20.5-inch fish. And the camera boat had rolled in there, and it was kind of cool. They did have the drone flying around, and so they flew it back in there, got some pictures and stuff of me with that fish. But I kind of knew it was probably done at that point. Now in the back of my mind, I did know there was someone out there that could probably do 106 inches. I'm just glad that they didn't have the day one that some of those other people had, or I might have been in trouble. But you always know that's a possibility on fork.
Oh yeah.
But it's just kind of one of those things where all the things that needed to happen happened, and I was grateful for that for sure. And I can see how it can turn around very quickly the next week. So you got to enjoy the wins, right?
Yeah.
You got to enjoy.
You got that one to your head a little bit.
Yeah.
I bet the Bassmaster guys, they're probably getting used to seeing these guys win off of these concrete ramps, man. You and Pendergraph now, that concrete ramp bite, man, that's becoming a big deal. There's even a guy he does total map breakdowns of. I mean, you probably have seen it on there, but he does Lake Fork, and he goes through and he was marking every single residential and public ramp, and talking about them that he'll go through and he'll just fish nothing but ramps, a lot of times out there.
Yeah.
But you mentioned you had a lot of previous experience on Lake Fork, so. With it being 6 feet low like it was, did you go out there and see the lake a totally different way, or did you go out there and say, oh man, everything that I knew about this lake makes even more sense now, I'm about to wreck them? or did it just kind of throw you, or did it really mess with you at all?
It didn't mess with me at all because I went and fished new stuff. So I wasn't out there fishing an area that I had a lot of history with. You know, outside of that one main lake point that I've been to a couple times, everything else that I fished was new to me. So I was seeing a lot of that water just the way it was when we were there. So I did find, though, where some of those, I call them like ditches or drains on the main lake, where they kind of were meeting the main lake, where I was finding those trees where there was two or more kind of right there by each other. That tended to yield a lot higher success rate. So I did kind of key in on that piece quite a bit as well, kind of looking for where there was ditches and drains. And you can kind of see it as you're going along your graph. I mean, you'll see it dip. You know, you'd be going along, all of a sudden it's 7 foot, and then it goes to like 14. Well, I'm going to turn around and throw on the 7 foot area that's right there by that drop. And usually have some success.
Yeah, I really think, man, just kind of like I don't know if you fished Sam Rayburn last year for the Hobie when it was like 11 feet high, but
I did.
that was like, you know, that was the perfect kayak tournament, you know, and Lake Fork with it being 6 feet low and that cold front moving through like it did, that, in my opinion, man, that was another perfect kayak tournament because I mean we virtually had that lake to ourselves, much like Sam Rayburn.
Yeah, man. I tell you, Rayburn was a lot of fun for me pre-fishing. I won pre-fishing, I felt like, but you know, the area I started on, that water had actually dropped about 2 foot the day of the event. But I had fun down there exploring that lake. But yeah, I agree with you, man. You know, you didn't have to compete with boat. I didn't compete with boaters all day.
No, I hardly saw them at all.
Yeah. And it's kind of nice, even when I was down there for practice, I didn't see many folks out. Matter of fact, I was the only one that put in at the ramp I was at practice.
Yeah. Yeah, it was the same. I had went down before the cutoff just to get eyes on the lake because I'd never been there, and it was same situation, man. You know, they can't run through there like they can, and then, you know, with it being 6 feet higher, but
right, yeah.
But it was definitely cool, man. You know, it was you know, an awesome experience to, you know, to see that lake like that for the first time for myself, you know, but man, again, dude, just impressive win. You know, what depth range did you say that most of your fish were coming from?
Generally about 7 foot. I never fished anything over 11 foot the entire time I was down there.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely seemed like even with that cold front that moved through, that they didn't dip back out. I think it had a lot to do with that. We had that warmer weather, you know, just right there before the tournament, you know, and that probably got some of those fish moving up a little bit.
But like I said, you know, the water temperature was the same as when I had been down there pre-fishing. Yeah. In a week's time, I'm sure it went up a bit and then came back down to where it was the week before.
Yep, absolutely. Well, man, what do you got for the rest of the season? You know, you mentioned you're not going to be doing a lot of the club stuff this year. You know, are you going to continue with the Hobie? Are you shooting for Angler of the Year in any of these, or are you just going to kind of ride the wave, see where it lands?
Probably ride the wave and see where it lands. You know, I was only planning on doing one BASS event. Obviously, that's probably changed now. I'll probably do more of those, but yeah, I'm not necessarily chasing an AOY thing. I think it's more for me about getting qualified for the championship events. So I can check mark that for Bassmasters, and hopefully I can do that for Hobie at some point. I'm gonna do Eufaula. I'll do Broken Bow. I'll definitely do Dardanelle. But I think next up probably for me is going to be the Caddo KBF event. So I'll go down there and fish that one for sure.
Is that that's a regular trail event?
Yeah, there's 2 trails, Saturday, Sunday. So I'll probably do both of those. I'm probably not jumping into this Pro Series thing or whatever they have going on there, but yeah, I got down there and did the trail events.
I've been out of touch with KBF past couple of years. So he started the Pro Trail. Did he cut that out the last couple of years and now he's trying it again?
Yeah, I think he cut it out with the COVID year, and then brought it back this year. You know, I'm big on simplification. I think that's where Hobie gets it right. You know, it's simple. You go to Tourney X, you sign up, you're done. Like,
Yeah.
you know, AJ's pretty, you know, easy to work with things. If you have a question, you know, there's generally a pretty clear answer overall. And, you know, their format's been the same every year.
It's
Like their
consistent. Yeah.
AOY points are the same every year. And I enjoy fishing KBF events. Okay. So I'm not one of these folks that's on the KBF bashing train. But I will say if there was something I would like to see, it would be just a consistent structure, whether it be the challenge series or the trail series or whatever the case is, just something that's consistent from year to year to year. Because the first year I did it, I remember I had to have 5 trail events, 2 open events, and then I had to fish X amount of challenge series events. And I did all of it, did all of them. And then the very next year, I think it went to like regions. And it's like you had to have so many regional events with national events and, you know, some other pieces. And I don't even, like you're saying, I don't even know what it is this year. Like, I just know that I like fishing Caddo Lake and I like fishing their events. And so I'm going to go and I'm going to enjoy the experience. But, you know, if I could say one thing about that whole situation, I would say this. If you got the only gas station in town and people come in there and say, hey, we want donuts in the gas station. And you're like, well, we don't really serve donuts. People leave, right? So then they come back. Somebody else comes in and says, man, we really like Slurpees. We like Slurpees in this gas station. And you're kind of like, well, you know, we don't really do Slurpees. Well, then somebody else out of town comes in, puts a new gas station, and guess what? They serve Slurpees and they have donuts. Like, you can't be upset with the people that go to the other gas station and have a good experience and then tell people about it.
Right.
Like, you know, at some point you got to kind of, you know, understand, like, you own your gas station.
Yeah.
It's up to you. Figure it out, you know. I mean, I'm going to still fish all the trails I have since I've gotten into it. I like all of the people personally that run all of them. You know, I think consistency and simplification is kind of the answer to this thing. You know, simple sign-up process, simple captain's meetings, you know, AOI structure. It just makes it run smoother.
Yeah. You hit the nail on the head, man. I couldn't agree. David, you got any more questions for our buddy Garrett?
No, I think we covered a lot of what I had in my head as far as, you know, just what his thoughts were. I mean, I know he's a good old Arkansas boy, where I'm from too. So, when it came to, I guess really, I do have a question. Let me think how to word this. The mental aspect of winning. The mental aspect of putting it all together, because that's the piece that I've struggled with personally. I'm going to quiz you on this one. So, you know, had a great day on day 1, bad day at Toledo Bend on day 2. Sam Rayburn last year had I did okay, but had an utter failure on day 1, did really good on day 2. I had a good finish, but couldn't quite get there. Is there anything from fishing out of a kayak that you think has helped you get more mentally prepared or focused going into a tournament day?
I think a lot of it has to do with before I ever even got in a kayak. So my past life, I was a field goal kicker. So you have to have a short-term, you know, or you can't hold on to things long-term. You got to be able to let things go. You know, you're in the middle of a football game and you miss a field goal at the end of halftime. You know, you got to let it go so you can go out there and kick the game winner at the end, kind of deal. So I think I had a lot of tough situations or high pressure situations through sports. And then also in life, you know, I've not had necessarily a cakewalk, never had a silver spoon, you know, kind of lifestyle. So I think, you know, a lot of those experiences I've had kind of prepared me for this, but also I will say fishing that local trail and fishing from the front and knowing people are like, they want to take me out. Like they're facing.
Right.
And there was this last 2 years going into the last event, I couldn't just show up. Like I actually had to do well. Like this last year, I actually had to finish second or better and have the guy that was leading LOY finish third or less. And I went and did my part. And, fortunate enough for me, unfortunate for him, he didn't have the best day out there. But I think fishing some local events and, kind of having people chase you, prepare for that, prepared me for that. But, no secret sauce there other than I think just learning to let stuff go as it happens. But then again, I also made a lot of bad decisions at Toledo. So, I think it happens to everybody, man. But I did go out on Toledo on day 2 and explored more water and, new water and found 4 fish. But hopefully it'll help me the next time I'm down there.
There you go.
Yeah, that was a beast of a lake, man. That's a lot of water to cover. That was the only thing I didn't like about Toledo was how everything was about an hour drive. If you want to go to a restaurant or a gas station, you better be topped off on fuel because I think one of the guys in our house, he ran out of gas in between drives. But yeah, man,
yeah, it's huge, man.
Well, man, one thing I want to mention about you, you and I think we were in I can't remember what place you were at, but it's 2 years ago at Dardanelle for the Hobie Series, and you got up there, man, and you openly told everybody that you had went out and you were planting brush piles and stuff like that leading up to that event. I was like, man, this dude, he just comes straight out and just told everybody he don't give a rat's. So that's a lot of people keep that under their hat, but I mean, you definitely didn't give out locations, but that was pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like some of these folks, they can travel in a week early and spend a week there. So if you've got an event that's coming to your backyard, you got a couple weeks to prepare for it. I mean, that might be your shot, right? That might, if you don't get to travel as much as some of these other people, that might be your shot to try to qualify. So that's the way I looked at it that year. It's like, listen, if I go cut down some cedar trees, tie them to some cinder blocks, and go dump them a couple weeks before this event, and know where they're going to be at, I mean, why not, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, makes sense to me.
Every other local, man, they do it too, for even club tournaments. So,
I mean, there's folks that travel to these events that go do that. I mean, they get there a week or two early and go do this. Yeah. So, I don't have the ability to go do all that good stuff yet or right now. So, when I have one close, I'll do what I can to give myself a little bit of an edge here or there.
That's right. I don't blame you. I did see at Toledo and Fork, I saw at least one on both of those lakes. At Toledo, there was a 55-gallon drum just straight up right there on a point. Just, submerged right there. I was like, man, I really want to just tip that thing over and see what's in there. But Fork was the same way with it being so low. Both of the lakes were pretty low, but
yeah.
Well, man, it's been awesome talking to you tonight, dude. Getting to know you a little bit. I know we'll run into each other more out on the trail this year. Anything, we like to, really talk about our grassroots communities. That's kind of one of the reasons why we started this podcast was to, help grow that here in our community. So, you want to talk a little bit about your local clubs and kind of what you guys got going on there?
Yeah, man. Natural State Kayak Anglers, have 2 branches of that club. There's one in Northwest Arkansas, one in Central Arkansas. And they're thriving. They're growing. They've grown every year. I think last year we averaged 39 anglers per event. When we first started that club, it's 27 anglers per event. So it's going into the 4th year now. So it's been a steady, healthy growth pattern there. But yeah, locally here, I do get some partnership with H4 Outdoors, little kayak shop here in town. And they help us out with the club as well. With some sponsorship and some things there. So if you're ever in the area, stop in, show them a little love.
Good deal. That's awesome, man. Well, anybody else you want to thank or give a shout out to before we let you go for the night?
Yeah, man. JP Custom Baits. They do make the jig that I use down there at Fork. So it's a custom jig in G Money color, as we call it. But I actually had him make that based off some crawfish that I had found up at one of the rivers here, and sent him a picture. Said, "Hey, man, made me up a jig that looks just like this guy," and he nailed it pretty good.
Nice.
But he's actually making himself some to go down there to Fork and just try to go out there and catch some big ones.
Go fishing some of them magic trees, huh?
That's right. Yeah. Dude, it was crazy though. Like if you found, I mean, for me, if I found a fish on a tree, I was gonna catch more than one on it.
Yeah.
It was just like that. So
it was the same for me. I only caught 2 fish both days, but day 2, I found one of those magic trees, and it was just like on a point, and I could only catch one off of it at a time. I could revisit it, and I got bit a couple other times, but only hooked 2 off of it. And the last 30 minutes, I went back over there and drug by it and got bit again. But I don't know. It was like you mentioned, there was other trees nearby that looked just as juicy, but it was something about that one tree that just they liked it.
I tell you, those 2 days of practice paid off big time. Just being able to go out there and just mark, hey, I got a bite on this tree. I got a bite on this tree. It eliminated so much. People had asked me, what'd you do differently than the guys that were in, that little area you're in? Well, they were fishing every tree. They were fishing every boat dock. They were fishing everything, in there. And I was literally just going spot, and then I'd pedal, 400 or 500 yards, fish, pedal 400 or 500 yards, fish. So I wasn't hitting every little thing. I already knew where there was fish based on practice.
Yeah, definitely helps, man. Well, brother, it's been awesome talking to you, man. We hope to have you back on. Hope win another one of them tournaments, man. You keep that going,
man.
dude.
I hope it's the first many. I will tell you this. You know what's changed though after this is the first big win on the national level I've ever had. You don't really go back to playing it safe. So I think you'll see me personally, I'll probably have more flops than normal. You'll probably see me do more of what I did at Toledo. But I think I'd trade that for, 2 or 3 wins a year, or 2 or 3 top 3 finishes. And so I think that playing it safe piece is gone now for me. I want to go win. I mean, it's one of those things. Once you do it, you want to repeat it. So
yeah.
I'd rather go, fish for 5 bites to win the tournament than just go out there to try to catch any old 5 fish. I want to go catch 5 big fish.
Yep.
So
absolutely. Yep.
But anyways, hopefully I can have some success before the end of the year again. Hopefully I didn't use up all my lucky charms here in the first month of the season.
No, man.
I think we'll see more of you.
I think so too. I mean, you see it with other people. They get on that winning streak. Guillermo. Christine's had a run. There's been quite a few people that have had good runs, and they've been sustainable runs. They've come back the next year and continue to do good. So, looking forward to it, man. Well, we enjoyed tonight. We're gonna let you get out of here, man. I know it's late. You probably want to get a little bit more rest. So, man, good talking to you, dude.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, guys. So, man, excellent conversation, man. What do you think? Yeah.
Excellent. He did, a lot of information there to absorb and think about, and kind of stuff we want to be seeing.
For sure. Well, we've been running 8 hours or an hour and 15 minutes. It is time to give away this Battleborn Batteries Group 24 75 amp hour 12 volt. This is a very awesome battery. It's going to keep you powered out there on the water for many, many hours. I know that I haven't even drained mine yet. I put miles and miles and miles on mine, and they've been an amazing tool. We are very proud and very happy to have Battleborn as a sponsor for this podcast. We got a lot to thank them for. But we're going to do a random we're going to use a random comment selector. I'm going to pull it up here in the live feed so you guys can see it, and we're going to give this battery away. So let's get me and David off here. If not, Caleb, we will get in contact with you. And I want to say Caleb is a local, is he not? I think he is. Yeah. Anyways, one way or the other, Caleb, we will get that battery to you, whether you are local or not. We'll ship it out to you. Thank you all for everybody that jumped in on that giveaway. Okay, he is local. Caleb, while we have you on here, will you be fishing the West Tennessee Bass Yackers tournament on Pickwick? Awesome. Oh, okay, that's Clint. Waiting for the comment. He should be. Okay. All right, good. If not, Caleb, I'll get in touch with you and meet up with you here locally to get that battery to you. Guys, thank you all for participating in that giveaway. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. We've had a great time. David, you got anything else you want to add, buddy, before we get out of here?
Come see us at the show this weekend. Be looking for announcements on the St. Jude tournament. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I got right now. I'm brain dead. I'm still trying to recover from this last 2 weeks.
I know, man. Me too. Definitely need some rest. All right, Caleb, we'll get that battery to you, buddy. And guys, you all have a great night, and we will see you next time.